Kilometre after kilometre, young and old, men and women.
When you see people on the route, you know the probabilities of what there's ahead of them.
At least 4,000 people in a caravan that began in Honduras.
Part of you wants to say to them, listen, for most of you, this isn't going to work. You can't interfere with the story. The only thing you can do is listen to them. I'm John Holman, I'm in Mexico City, and for the last year and a half, I've been covering Central Americans trying to get through Mexico into the United States. And between us, this is the story that's been the most difficult to get right that I've encountered. Now, a lot of these people that are coming from Honduras, El Salvador and Guatemala are fleeing for either one of two reasons. One of them is violence. These are some of the most violent countries, a lot of them in the grip of gangs warring over those countries and involving a lot of people. The other reason is economic. Those countries suffer from poverty and they're trying to find some sort of better life for themselves in the United States. We try and follow them as they go each step of the way.
I'm on the river between Guatemala over here, Mexico on the other side.
It's a fairly exhausting process, obviously much more exhausting for them. They're having to cover distances of sort of a marathon a day.
We have to cross, whatever happens.
We say that they're migrants, and when you're speaking to them individually, you realise that that's not the label that they put on themselves. Really, these are people with very different and varied backgrounds. I've talked to people that worked in banks, I've talked to people that were electricians, I've talked to people that worked in supermarkets, people from all walks of life, but that sort of disappears as they head in this mass. They run out of clothes and suddenly they're all dressed in sort of the same things that get donated along the way. They run out of money, they're all sleeping rough, and it's easy to look at them as just one mass. This is what defines these people, they're migrants. That loss of sense of self. So there's one family that we filmed, the dad, Alvin, had polio, so one of his legs was pretty withered. There are two young children with them. The lady, who was called Early, she was quite heavily pregnant, and we picked up with them just when they were crossing the border into Mexico.
We just have these blankets so the children don't sleep on the pure pavement.
I remember the last shot in our piece was like early on her back. You could see her pregnancy with her two children curled up on either side of her. And then we've picked up again with that family when they were in Atlanta. They actually made it over. They asked for asylum. It was their promised land, the United States, and they were living on this trailer park, sharing a trailer with someone else, living off cereal for all of their meals because they didn't have any money to get anything else. And it was just a sense of, is this it? It got quite hard covering it because there was a cycle that we saw happen every time, that people started off very optimistic. At first, they really wanted to talk to you because they saw the media as something that could help tell their story and why they needed to get to the United States. And then when things stopped moving, that relationship was more difficult. Suddenly they didn't really want to talk. And their whole mood had changed from being one of like, we're doing this, we're on our way, we're traveling together, to being, well, why is this not happening? Why can't we get through? And we knew what was probably going to happen at the end, that they were going to be stuck on the border with Mexico, not able to get through into the United States, or if they were able to get through and ask for asylum, many of them weren't going to be successful. It was almost like you were being pushed to go to one extreme or another, to sort of pick a side, because one side of the argument was saying, well, all of these people are potential criminals. Another side was trying to say, well, none of them are. It was sort of an ongoing journalistic process where you had to keep looking at yourself and thinking, am I presenting the whole picture here? I'm really sad about what we'd seen, the stories that we heard. Whatever you think about the wrongs and rights of these people's journeys, I think it's right for there to be transparency about what's happening to them and what their situation is.